Do you have any Waymo coming up?
Waymo did a report last Friday to maybe cultivate some more collaboration to establish more safety, possible regulations or policies or something. And they came out with a report on their safety. And I thought it was interesting because I've never seen a Waymo car. I wanted to see some feedback and hear from people and what's going on with these cars. I actually watched a Tesla car and it was kind of scary to see it drive around on its own. This guy was showing and it looked like he had to intervene multiple times in just one drive.
Questionable.
And I saw a report saying that they're gonna push a update out that will reduce the interventions by 66% or a third or something like that. I didn't really read it because I don't really care too much about Tesla's self-driving technology. But I saw some feedback from residents in this article about Waymo. They said they've had complaints that the cars stop too often in a weird way that humans may not think is logical, and they risk a lot of rear end accidents. This guy said, the article says that they complain about hundreds of Waymo vans. I don't know how many cars they have, but hundreds of Waymo vans. It's pretty interesting.
The fleet's pretty big.
But since the beginning of the year, they've only had 18 minor incidences. And
like a B+.
So, according to the calculations, that means that there's one minor incident for every 339,000 miles traveled. And there were 29 incidences that were avoided with the intervention of a safety driver. So if you added those into the calculations, that'll change the incidences to 1 per every 210,000 miles. So I think that's really good. Most people have incidences and they definitely don't drive 210,000 miles. Yeah, none of the events were serious. No, there's no serious injuries. And the Waymo cars were rear-ended 11 times.
Is that because the Waymo broke faster than the car before expected, or because they just got rear-ended? How do they calculate that?
Rear-ended doesn't say if it's... Well, it's always the person that rear-ended it. It's always the
but
I mean, fault.
If the Waymo car
unless the Waymo
car is not
Waymo.
Predictable for the passenger or the person behind them, then maybe they just, I don't know. Maybe the car just abruptly broke and they just ran into him. I don't know. I don't know, stats, how that works.
Yeah, like I mentioned, some residents have complained how they stop too often. According to insurance, if a car got rear-ended, it's the person's fault that rear-ended it, unless the company claims that it's their fault, it's always the person that rear-ended it. It's
Yeah,
always
so
their
how
fault.
would you? I wonder how they would. How would Waymo like calculate the insurance for these guys when there's no one there to talk to? They just get away with rear ending and like, who's gonna fix a Waymo car? It's just they just.
No, the Waymo cars didn't rear-end anybody. The Waymo cars
I know, but
were
who's gonna fix a
rear-ended.
Waymo car if there's no one talking to you, and maybe the passenger has to go get the details and like stop the Waymo car from driving. I don't know. How's that gonna work? Like maybe
Um,
Google sends.
Maybe Google will send a representative or something.
Maybe Google just like sends you an email and says like you owe this much to cover a Waymo accident.
Yeah, maybe like has a message or something like, "Oh, please wait. We have called the police to make a report, and a Google representative will come
Yeah.
and make sure everything is settled."
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, they said of the most significant incidences, 8 of them were human errors. So I am assuming that it's out of the 18 minor, like maybe the top 10 or so, or out of the top 10, 8 of them are like human errors or something like that. And yeah, so the majority of them are Waymo errors, but it's not like that big of a majority. 8 out of the 18 are human errors.
So 8 out of 18 is divide that by 2 is like 4 out of 9. That's yeah, it's more than it's slightly less than half of it's a human error. But so let's say Waymo does have an accident during the taxiing or something. What if Google would just like cover the accident damage with whatever happened? Because the passenger is not.
They would not want to do that, because then people would just drive into them on purpose and just get a new car.
No, I'm saying if Google was the one at fault, like if Waymo was the one at fault, maybe it like hit something on the side of the road that like maybe has some weird like cone or something, and it like went off and hit a car or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Google would
Yeah.
repair and do all that. One thing that's interesting is that Waymo does have really good incident avoidance skills. Like it would drive off the road, or instead of hitting a car, it's like hits a pole or something instead. So they try to hit a fixed object rather than an actual car.
So like
that might injure
you're
somebody.
like passenger seat, and then like this car is going, and you like hit the pole. I'm like, what just happened? Like, okay. Now how am I gonna get to work?
You'd probably see that somebody almost hit
What
you.
if you're just like studying or something, and you just like abruptly like hit a pole or something?
Yeah, that'd be kind of, if you're like totally focused on something, that'd be kind of funny. Hopefully you'd have like a video so you could like show you what happened. Like, oh, we almost got hit by a car. Please wait, and we'll have another Waymo car.
A bunch of Waymo cars just like changing you over to until you get to your destination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting to learn about. how they possibly drive and stuff.
Yeah, you get
Tesla is definitely behind as I expected.
yeah.
It's scary to see
Yeah, I
them
wouldn't
driving
expect
around.
people to even invest in that yet because you're paying so much to join it anyways. So they're probably waiting off, staying off until they have a good official version out. I don't know why you'd want to invest into a beta program.
Yeah, maybe that's why he increased the price. Because no one's paying for it, so you gotta pay for it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want people to join the beta. Let's raise the prices.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's less people enrolling in it because it's really risky, and you need to have a certain amount of money coming in, you would raise the price in order to get that money that you need. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.